Good afternoon. Today is March 27th. We're doing a walkthrough for this 2025 Zinger 340RE. Alrighty, starting up front here. We come to the back side here. We'll start with this left side. So you do have solar on board. So you already have the pre-wiring set up, run to this battery here for your solar. Both the portable solar as well as the solar that's on top of the camper itself. Wires will run in here. So you're gonna have 3 attached to your negative and 3 attached to your positive on this side. This little inlet here is going to be for your portable solar. So if you do have your extra solar panel, it could be attached here. Now this is suited for 20 amps here, and your one on the roof is going to be a 20 amp solar panel as well. Coming around front, we're going to have this lovely cover here. You twist these little lug nuts on the side to loosen her up, and then you'll be able to raise and remove this cover here. Under here is going to be our LP tanks. So you have 2 20-pound LP tanks, both full. Lever turn to the left is completely open, turn to the right is going to be completely closed. You also are going to have a lever in the front, so you'll be able to shift between each individual tank if one were to run empty. Now, a little trick of the trade we like to do is we'll keep one tank completely off while keeping one tank completely on. So this knows even if the lever is poured to the middle or poured to this side, it's only going to pull from this tank. So when this tank runs empty, let's say our furnace has used up all the gas, or our hot water heater, or we used all of our gas through our stove, we can come right outside, flip this lever over, turn these over, and then we only have to fill up one tank rather than both. And then that just closes right over there. This does latch to this back part here, as well as on that side. And like I said, same thing in reverse to get these on. So you'll drop it down right behind there. She'll slide on, and like I said, you just lock down to keep those in place. Now moving up forward here, you're going to have your electric tongue jack. You have a little hitch light in case you are backing up and hitching at night. Right here for the switch for that. You're also going to have your electric tongue level here. You have both of our chains, our 7-pin wrapped around our extended jack as well as our battery line is going to be, not our battery, our brake line is going to be on the side right here. Coming around the side, we're going to have our compartment. This compartment is going to house our solar controller here to the left. So just to give you a quick breakdown of what everything is saying on these screens, we'll press OK, enter to get everything up in green, press back. This screen here is just telling you the temperature that is outside. You flip it over, it's going to tell you the voltage of the battery itself, the amperage that comes out of it, and then beyond that, it's going to be the voltage of the panel itself. You also have a little light in here as well on this back wall. You can touch that to cut that on. And this compartment is going to house our awning jack as well as our stabilizer manual jack. Now your stabilizers will have an electric component on the opposite end of this camper, and I'll show you that when I get over to that side. But if those electric components happen to stop working, you also have this manual jack here. Now in this box here is going to be housed your ladder for the back of your camper to be able to use for that. Stepping back, close that with that latch like that there. Coming around here, you also have some more storage on this back side as well, and this has the same latch cover to lock as well. Excuse me. Now coming down this side here, we're going to have our outdoor shower. Now this key will be a 1075 key or a 1071 key. It is going to be a 751 key, I apologize. To open this up out here. And that's going to house our outdoor shower here. That cover is just letting you know that she was winterized. You can see the antifreeze sitting in that cover. So this is a winterized portion here. Same thing, lock that back there. Up top here, we're going to have a little bit of cable and satellite connection in case you do have your own connection there that'll run to the inside. You're also going to have a black tank flush. Now the thing about these black tank flushes is you're going to want to make sure that your black tank valve, which is down here, is pulled off and open, as well as these covers are going to be off as well. That'd be the best way to flush out that black tank without damaging the tank itself. Just while I'm down here, you will have your single black tank as well as two gray tanks. As you can see from the valves, the gray tanks would just be if you're using any used water, so any water that goes from your sink or from your shower. Your black tank is going to be toilet bowl water, so the stuff that comes from your toilet into your black tank will be filled with that valve. This exterior, secondary tank valve will be for that secondary gray tank. On the back side of those valves are going to be our low point valves, and they are going to be the lowest points of all of our water lines. When you're ready to bleed your lines out, let's say we need to winterize, or we're just trying to get as much water out of our lines as possible, you'll go ahead and pull these levers here and they'll let out all the water in your lines. If this is your first camper, you'll also see on the side that they are labeled, so you don't have to go looking to see where your tanks are located. Even though they'll stick out right here, they are within eye level there. Now coming down the side here, you're going to have your 50 amp short cord. This will be stored in the camper when you do come, or when this is delivered, or however you guys are receiving it. That will be stored in the camper itself. Next to this is going to be our tankless water heater. So there will be no tank to fill up in regards to this. It's on demand. So depicting on how the weather is outside will kind of determine whether or not how on demand that is. So you could get a bit of cold water immediately. That's okay. Once again, this is immediate heat up. So as soon as it senses that, it will heat that water up. And I'll show you the controller on the inside and how that works. Only real thing to know about this outside components here is going to be, you have your power switch here, cutter on and cutter off. Your fuse is going to be below her here. And then you also have a lovely pressure gauge here that just lets you know how much water is in your tank. Now, the difference between this one and a tanked water heater, as you can see, there is a little bit of pink, so there's a little bit of antifreeze within that line. That is okay, because there's no tank for this antifreeze to sit in. It's just a little tube for that to flow through. So once that bleeds out, you'll bleed out all the remaining antifreeze from there, and it doesn't damage it, nor will you have to worry about that overtly awful smell of antifreeze just sitting in a tank. That closes just like that. Below that is going to be our furnace exhaust. One of the main things with this, you definitely want to make sure that you get yourself a nice little metal mesh cover that goes around this furnace exhaust, so you can stop any mud doppers or anything from coming over here and making a nest inside that furnace. They make some metal ones, magnetic ones that you can pop right on. They also make some that go, and you can just screw the hose over that plate there. But definitely do make sure that you have yourself a cover there, so you can make sure that the exhaust and inlet of your furnace is not damaged or stopped up. Coming down the side here to our back side here, we will have our city water connection as well as our freshwater connection. So city water connection, if this is your first camper, is going to be directly from, let's say we're at a dock, directly from line to city water connection to your fixtures. Whereas with your freshwater tank, it's going to go directly from line to this connection into your freshwater tank. Once that tank is filled up to optimal level for you, you'll be able to go inside after that water is cut off from the outside, cut on your water pump, and then it will cycle that water from your tank to your fixtures on the inside. Please make sure that it is only potable water. So when you are utilizing your tanks, you're going to want to get a white hose, or a hose that is potable water, meaning water you can cook with. Other hoses, like let's say this black one here, or your standard green hoses, can have the possibility of having sediment built into them after a while, and they'll break down after a bunch of uses in the sun in the winter. So it's always best to get you a hose that does say potable water. Please make sure you also sanitize, flush, and drain your water tank before using, because during this our inspection, we do fill these tanks up. We do release that pressure in those tanks. We do let the water out of those tanks as well. But of course, we do not utilize the potable hose, a potable water hose, because we only use it for tests. So do be mindful when you receive your camper, you are going to want to flush your freshwater tank out completely. It should be empty upon arrival, but you also just want to make sure that we're using a potable water hose, so that you are using a hose that allows you to cook with. Coming around back here, I'll start at the bottom. You are going to also have yourself a lovely discharge hose station where you can store your discharge hose without having to stick it in your lovely compartment up front, therefore leading any of that black tank or gray tank mush into that compartment. Now you will have 2 access points on both the left and the right side. Your spare tire is also back here as well. And then you are wired for a backup camera. Now, finding a backup camera that is compatible with this Furion system is your best bet, or you can definitely go ahead and just get the Furion system camera as well. And then this is going to be the component in which your ladder will attach to. Coming around this side here, as I stated before, you will have 2 switches for your stabilizers. So you're gonna have this one on here that will control both the left and the right of the back side, as well as one on the front end there that does the exact same. Now I'm going to start by retracting since they are down, so that we are able to see. One thing about retraction, we want to make sure that before we put this camper in motion, that both legs are completely up. As you hear a little bit, you can tell that one leg came up a little bit faster than that other leg. So when we are in motion, we do want to make sure that these are completely up, because they do stagger a bit when we are letting them up, and they also stagger a bit when we are letting them down. So as you can see, that left one over there dropped before this right one did. When that left one hits the ground completely, this right one's going to start going, because the left one has already sensed where that ground is. Now I'm just going to move this foot around to make it easier for itself. Now that's extended. We're going to hit this point here. Now when you hit this point here, you're going to hear a different change in sound, let you know when you're going to be able to stop letting your stabilizer up. So once you hear that whirring sound or that different octave or a deeper tone, you're going to stop letting your stabilizers down, because now it's carrying the weight of this camper itself, and you don't have to release that stabilizer anymore. Behind this lovely rubber node here is going to also be our manual connection in case the electric motors do happen to stop. But as you've seen before, one foot will go down first. It's going to read the ground, and then it's going to release that second foot upon reading out where the ground is. Then in reverse, it will just raise one foot up a slightly bit faster than the other one. Of course, it doesn't have to read the ground, but it does have that tracking sensor in it. So do be mindful of that when we are ready to move the camper, that both of those legs are in tandem, and they both are up. My fault, both of those legs are not in tandem, and that they will move slightly separate. Also, looking down the side of the campers, you may see these holes here. That is going to be your release for your awnings, as well as your slide on the opposite end of the camper. So there's going to be the manual for this side. It's going to operate the other side, and then the other side is going to operate these slides and these awnings here. Coming to the front door here, we also have a lovely little leash link here, so you'll be able to attach the doggos here. And you have this lovely door here. Now with this door, you do want to make sure that she's out of the way when we are lifting these stairs up, because these stairs do come with lips on the side, so that she can safely be placed within the camper. I like to raise her, give her a quick shake, so I let all the rocks out of the feet there. Excuse me. And then just raise her in, and what's going to happen is this lock is going to lock behind, and that lip is going to sit on the front of this lip here, as well as there. Now to release this, all you'll do is pull this said lever and pull on her down. Now there is no shocks, as you can see, for these stairs. So when you do release that lever, you will need to be mindful of these stairs falling back. So keep your hand there, guide her straight down, and you can drop her just like that. Now, with these stairs as well, you're gonna have these level feet, as well as this black tab to let out for our feet as well. So do be mindful when we are raising and releasing our stairs that those feet can extend beyond the range of our door frame. So when she is in the up position, if those feet are fully extended, it can hit and damage your door frame, and or vice versa. So do be mindful when you are letting these stairs up and letting these stairs down, the position of your feet level, or your feet themselves, so we don't damage that lovely frame there. Go ahead and make our way inside. Alrighty, starting with our control board up top here. So from left to right, we're going to have all of our gauges. You'll have your gauge for your battery as well as your tanks. All of your tanks are going to be reading empty. As you can see on this board as well, you are going to have two separate sides. One side will just be reading for the tanks. The other side will be reading for the charge in your battery, up to 12.3 volts, down to just a low reading. Next to that is going to be our awning slide. So you'll be able to extend and retract for our second awning on the outside there. It's going to be attached to our slide. And then our second awning is going to be down here at the bottom for the one that's over our main slide here. With these awnings, you are going to want to be mindful that there is going to need to be a stopping point in release. We're a bit close to the other camper, so we won't be able to fully do a stopping point there, but I'll just give you a quick rundown. Now that aluminum bar there, when you release the awning to its full extent, you will see the aluminum bar stretch all the way across. Once you see that aluminum bar, that is when you're going to want to stop letting that awning out. Once that awning is released, once that awning is fully extended, you can't stop letting her out. If you, on top of seeing that aluminum bar that stretches out across, you may also run into a flap that drops down. Now I say may, because there's a possibility that flap may not drop, depending on the weather on the outside. So if it had been raining, wet, or any other portion of that, that flap may not drop down, but you will always see that, that aluminum bar when you are releasing and letting out your awning to its full extent. And the reason behind wanting to stop letting that awning out as far is just because if you don't stop, she will roll back on herself and she will roll back towards the camper. So do be mindful of that when we are extending our awning. I know I skipped some pieces over here. So as you can see, there are a lot of empty spaces, a lot of space you can add things into yourself. But the main thing you're gonna have here is going to be your water pump. Like I said, this is what you would cut on when you are boondocking or don't have access to that city water connection. This will pull that water from the tank itself to our fixtures. Right here, we are going to have our interior lights, so it's going to control, not that one right there in the hallway, but these right here on this ceiling here. Now, the same thing about these, another thing about these interior lights is they are also a push button light, so you can have your own set array to these lights themselves. One thing you have to be mindful of with this array is once you cut that switch back off, cut that switch back on, you will have to manually come over and press those set lights again, cutting them back on so they're back in the same array. You also have your awning light here on the end, and it'll cut them a little light that's on the edge of your awning. Next to your awnings, you're also going to have your slide switches that control all three of your slides, your kitchen, your main, and your bedroom as well. Coming over to this wall here, since we are on this side, we're going to have both our hot water heater and our thermostat. Starting up top is going to be our hot water heater. Now, power button here is to cut her on. Above that, we're going to have the ability to switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit, and this just adjusts the temperature of said water. Now, when you cut on your hot water, what's going to happen is it's going to begin to circulate through the system, or the water is going to start reading as it's running. It'll circulate through your system. Once that water does circulate, you'll get a flame notification on the module itself, letting you know that, hey, we do have hot water running in our system. This unit right here is also a proper way to be able to diagnose our system, because if you don't get that flame notification, then you should know for sure that we don't have adequate either gas running through our system. If you don't get the water notification, so the circulation, or you don't get that water running notification, it lets you know that, hey, we don't have proper water either flowing through the tank itself or just flowing through the camper itself in general. So do be mindful of that when you are utilizing the water heater here. Below that is going to be our thermostat. So to cut her on, you press and hold. I'll cut her off so you can see. Press and hold to cut her off. Same button in itself, press and hold to cut on. This will store both our furnace for heat as well as our regular unit on the ceiling. Switch between the modes, you'll tap that same button you would hold to cut on and cut off to switch between the modes. Fan is going to be above that there. You can tap this button for your fan, so it has your high, lows, and your autos. And then to adjust that temperature, you'll press this button here to adjust that temperature. Down here on this lovely ground here is going to be our breaker box. Now this is going to house both our 110 stuff that's running off of our short cord on the back, as well as our fuses and things that are running off of our 12 volt in the front. Nice thing about this system here is that this is if you happen to be missing a fuse that is needed, or there's a fuse that is damaged, you get a lovely indicator light on the side inside here that lights up, letting you know which fuse is missing, which fuse is damaged. So that is nice as well. And we'll close that there. Coming around to your restroom here, your switch for this is going to be in this corner. You also have a little bit of storage up top, as well as sink functionalities and a toilet functionality. Do be mindful that these toilets, and most if not all camper toilets, will not have a P-trap within them, meaning that this toilet goes directly into the black water tank, into your black tank, meaning whatever you put in this toilet will be sitting in your tank and only be within about a 3-4 foot distance between you and your camper. So one thing you are going to want to do after using your restroom, after utilizing your toilet, you're going to want to keep a little bit of water within this bowl here. That's a-okay. This will not be utilized water. This will be used water from our gray tanks. This will be water pulled either from our freshwater tank or water pulled from our city water fixture to sit in this bowl here. Now the reason behind that is going to be because if you have that water in there, it will operate as if it is its own P-trap. So it'll take that water and it'll block out that gas or any gaseous smells that could come up from the tank itself. Coming around to our bedroom here, you're also going to have your light switch on this opposite wall, a deep closet on the back side that also allows you to have both a washer and dryer hookups as well. And it's going to have this lovely push button here for your light in the closet. You have a closet door here with a lovely sliding closet mirror as well that does lock into place when you're ready to use her and be in travel. You have one light on this side, as well as another light on that side as well as some USB-A's and 110 outlets in the back. Above us here is going to be another AC unit. So to the left here is going to be our cool setting. And then to adjust that temperature, you can adjust the temperature by turning this nozzle. And to the right here is just going to be our fan setting. And that is to be your regular fan blowing out without cutting that condenser on. I'll go ahead and cut her off there. You also have a bit of storage under the bed as well, held up by these lovely shocks here. Coming back around to our kitchen. We're gonna start with our stove here. So this may be a little difficult with one hand, but I do my best to show you. This is our stove setup. When you are in travel, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have this lovely glass cover down and out of the way, protecting your stove unit here. Once again, this is glass, so you definitely want to make sure that she is down in travel. She can knock against herself, she can knock against that back wall, she can break, she will break if she's not put down in travel, so do be mindful of that. Also, this can be used as extra counter space if you would like it so, but remember, this is glass. Anything heavy, any pots or pans that are hot, any hot objects upon this glass will crack, will break the glass in itself. And it is nothing more annoying about campers than having to clean glass out of these little spokes there. So do be mindful of that. Now, when you're ready to use her, of course, you'll lift that cover up. She'll hang out in the back there, out of the way. You'll come down here, looking at our nozzles across. So you have the one for the back corner, front and back right there, as well as your oven nozzle. Where I like to start is, I'll cut this light on now. Being mindful, this light does absolutely nothing in regards to the overall start of our stove here. It doesn't stop it from working. It doesn't hinder it from putting gas out. It doesn't hinder the stove from doing its job in itself. I like to use this light as a safety indicator, so I know when I'm over here and I press this light, I plan on using my stove, or I have already used my stove for the day. So if I see that light, these should either be in the off position still, or, you know, ready to be used. Now, coming down to our oven here, same way to operate like our tops there. You're gonna want to turn this over, turn your igniter, and then she'll ignite your stove there. Now, it's easy to do it here because we've already tested and done your stove. So as you can see, I don't need to push in order to have that flame come out because the gas has already properly been flowing through your lines. But if this is your first time using your camper in quite some time, you will need to hold this in so that your pilot goes, and then you're gonna wanna turn that lever over. And then turn that lever over, you'll get the same effect of getting that gas through. You may need to hold her in for a second so you know for a fact you push that gas all the way through with no issue. But do be mindful of that. Upon your first use, you may need to hold her in without this being as smooth as a 1, 2, 3 go, okay? Wonderful. Now for our oven, it's the exact same. One thing I will teach you, this is your first time, your oven will light slower than your stove top will. So you'll turn this over to this lovely pilot light here. Click that, click over. You'll see a little igniter back there going. Of course, with this being pushed in, I'll see if I can prop this up to my best ability. That's how you really get that gas flowing through that line. Of course, it is just a little bit hard to do with one hand, but what's going to happen is you're going to see a pilot light up in the back there once this is pushed in and the igniter goes off in the proper. Once that's done, you'll let go of the push-in portion and you'll immediately turn over. I like to turn it over to the hottest setting so I know for a fact gas has flown through all of my lines around this front pyre here. And then you can go back up and adjust your temperature to your liking. I always suggest just go ahead and turn it straight to 480 because that makes sure that the gas does properly flow through all of the spokes. And then once that's done, like I said, just adjust to temperature to your lighting, and of course off. We'll cut that oven off down there. Now, this stove, your furnace, as well as that hot water heater I showed earlier, is attached to your LP, your gas system. Fun thing about your stove, she's either going to cut on or she's not. There is no error codes, or there are no error codes you can get within your stove here. Either she's going to cut on, either the gas is through the lines or the gas is not through the lines. So this is where you always want to start when we're starting up our gas system after not using our camper for some time. Because starting here will guarantee we get gas through the lines, and say we get gas through here, perfect. I know now I should be able to go to my furnace. So back over to my thermostat here, change her over to heat, and then my furnace should cut on with no hassle, with no issue. And then once that furnace is on, I like to go from here back over. Of course, it's not cut on now because it is already hot, 80-something degrees above. So she's not cooled down to room temp yet. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that AC back on. But once that furnace cuts on, I like to go then from there to my hot water heater. So that guarantees that gas should be through all of my lines. Therefore, it should be through my hot water heater as well. I like to save my hot water heater for last because it's a possibility you can get an E1 or E2 code or any other codes on the unit itself if it doesn't have proper gas flowing through it or proper water. So you definitely want to start, at least for the gas system aspect of it, with your stove there, water, just making sure that the water is properly flowing through the camper, and then you'll know water is going through your hot water heater as well. It is properly flowing through the camper. Remember, there is no tank, so you don't necessarily have to wait until that tank is full before you utilize that hot water. As soon as it's through your line, through your fixture and running through, depending on the temperature outside, you should be receiving immediate hot water. Excuse me. Now from here, you also have a light above, as well as a fan above your stove here. I know she's a little quiet, so I'll bring her up so you can hear her. And then your residential microwave will work just like any other residential microwave there. So I'll press that quick 30 seconds so you can see she's a moving and she's a grooving, but you do have your presets up top as well as your express clip numbers to be able to utilize as well. And I'll stop her there. Coming over to our entertainment section, we have our lovely Sansui TV here mounted. It does come with a travel strap that'll stretch across the front, as well as a travel strap on this side that'll lock her into place. Below her, you're also going to have, a electric fireplace. So this does not run through LP, it's strictly off of 110 because she is plugged up, so your short cord will need to be plugged in order to utilize her. But she comes with this beautiful remote, small mini remote here to cut her on. You have the ability to cut the flames down if you would like, also to adjust the temperature if you would like, as well as changing from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now, this is a small little remote, so if you do happen to misplace this small little remote, I will not blame you. But you also have these lovely buttons on the front here that will still work the camper all in all. I mean, it will still work the fireplace all in all the same. Now, this fireplace can also just be used as ambiance. As of right now, because it is 80-something degrees outside, this is not cut on. We're not using it for any heat, but if we would like to, we definitely can cut that heat component on, and then she will have that heat come out the front here. To cut her off, once again, you can come down here and press that power button there, or utilize the remote to do the exact same thing. Alrighty. We'll come back over here. Usually with the fridges, I'll show you, hey, stick your hand inside, you'll see how cold they get. See how freezing they are. But what I'll do just for now is you'll see that line lets you know that the freezer is operating and working. You also have your freezer temperature controls in here to be able to slide our mid, max, or minimum, as well as some controls on the inside of your fridge there. In our living room area, you are going to have, for our dining room, our 4 chairs. They are stacked up here for travel safety, but you will have 4 chairs to utilize for our table here. A couple of recliners in our living room area, as well as a pull-out couch. And then you're going to have lights here to operate the side, as well as light here to operate the side, and those are the same push button lights, so you can cut off in certain arrays how you would like them to be. Now moving on to my safety section. You will have 2 emergency windows in our living room here. They operate the exact same as each other. So we'll start, because it's easier to access, with this window here. All you'll do is just pull this little red tab forward. It unlocks the window itself from the screen, and you'll be able to slide her back. The screen will also be able to slide in tandem with that or separate, so you'll be able to safely exit the camper here. And like I said, this window will operate the exact same way as this window here. When you're ready to close her, you can slide both back just like that, and it will lock in place, closing those emergency windows there. Now in our bedroom, we are going to have a separate and different emergency window. So this one has a different setup. What that is going to have is this pull tab here, as well as a screen attached by 8 brackets in the corners here. What you'll do is you'll pull this tab off, pulling off our screen. You'll release this lock here by pulling her towards the screen itself and then lifting her over, and then you'll give her a good little push. Do not worry, as long as you are pushing straight out and not pushing down, pushing up, or pushing side to side through this hole, you will not damage this lever when we are releasing this window out. To safely exit the camper, you'll push this lever all the way through that hole there. Also, do not worry, because this window is on a hinge, so she'll just swing freely there with no problem. So you're safely able to exit the camper. If you just wish to use this lever, use this window as a bay window, you can slide the lever partially the way through, let her sit, and now you have bay window access there, able to exit out of the camper or get some breeze into the camper. To lock her back, you'll pull this lever all the way through, pull it to the side, that locks her in. Once you have it in that lip there. Now when she's in that lip, she will be pulling on that seal, closing that back to the window. That's why I say you don't have to worry about giving her a little bit of a push, because you are not damaging that seal in doing so, as long as that lever is not bent in any opposite directions. Straight out will guarantee that straight back in will make sure that seal is closed off properly. Now to the next portion of our safety. We have our fire extinguisher by the door here. We're also going to have our smoke detector on the ceiling in the middle of the room here. And then lastly but not leastly, we're going to have our carbon monoxide and LP detector down there in the corner. If this is your first camper, this carbon monoxide LP detector will pick up on liquid propane gas as well as carbon monoxide sitting in the air, but it also will pick up on aerosol sprays. So we'll get up close and personal with her real quick. As you can see, she has this lovely green light. There's also this lovely test button on the side here. You can press, it's gonna say test and mute on it. This is the safe standard mode, letting you know there's no aerosol sprays, no LP gas leakage or carbon monoxide in your camper. If this happens to go off, what's going to happen is this green light will flash red. She will beep and beep incessantly, annoyingly, and let you know that she is going off. If you are awake, once again, this can go off with any aerosol spray. So if you're spraying your hair, spraying the counter, spraying the windows, and that aerosol sits in the air and happens to come by our tester here, it can, and it probably will, make this thing go off. It's A-okay, let you know it functions how it's supposed to function. But if you are awake and this goes off, totally fine. Press that mute button, come over, open a window, open a door, let it air out to the best of its ability. It will eventually stop itself after pressing that mute button there. Once that's aired out, you don't have to worry about that cutting back on again. If you happen to be asleep and that little bugger goes off, the only thing I need you to do is get up, get out, leaving this door or window open, and cut off your gas to your unit. That'll guarantee that there is no gas leakage, or if there is a gas leakage, that won't be continuing within the camper itself. Now, this is a reason that I go back to saying that indicator light is my best friend, even if it does nothing for the unit, even if it does nothing for actually working this unit, because then once again, this lets me know that this is on or this is off. I have touched, or I am going to touch one of these in this general vicinity. Because 9 times out of 10, if this is going off at night and you guys happen to be asleep, you probably just bump this and it's just turned over a little and it's gas flowing through the lines. You just happen to not know. A-okay. You see the light was on. You would have known, hey, this should be off. Cut that off. But that light is off. It still can't bump once again. It's still a perfect safety measure, but it still can't bump. So just be mindful. I'm over here. Cut that off. I'm looking at it. I'm going to go ahead and put my cover down too, so I know this shouldn't be my problem. Now, if you happen to come back in the camper and realize, okay, my light's off, these are off, I haven't used my hot water heater, I haven't used my furnace today, then you more likely have a leak in the camper and you definitely want to get somebody to call before we do enter back in here on a full-term basis. Another thing with safety is going to be our slide positionings and where you can safely place things when you are opening and when you are closing your slides and wanting to travel with objects in your slides. I like to go over this as my last little tidbit, just so you're aware. Now, I always say if there's an island in the camper, your island is your best bet for where you can put things in your camper without them being damaged with our slide sliding in or with our slide closed. So everything in this general middle vicinity is safe. Everything in this general middle vicinity is safe. On the outside of that, if you put them here, it can press up against sliding it into the door frames here, damaging those doors. You put anything on this side here, it can slide up against the fascia of the sink there, damaging that sink, damaging this countertop, or damaging the overall top of the countertop as well, based on that table pushing in. So you definitely want to be mindful of where you have objects in this general vicinity here, but also for the bedroom as well, because that is on a slide as well, that your safe points are not going to be in this general front vicinity or right up in here. Even though it may seem safe on the side, you still have this wall board here as well as the same wall board on the side here. So your best bet will be your closets there, counter space, or just tucking everything back in the door, back in your drawers here. Now your doors in themselves for travels, they do have these latches on them, so this will have a latch on it. Your door light here will just close like normal, as well as your closet door just closing like normal. And then that concludes my safety spiel there. And I want to thank you for shopping with us here at Rec USA. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to give us a call. And thank you for walking through this lovely 2025 Zinger with me here